Good evening. Hi, Christine.
Hi, Brinda.
Hi, Rohini.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank
you. We will just start in 2 minutes.
Sure, no problem. Megan, I hope you're well rested. I believe you were jet lagged.
Yeah, I actually just woke up about an hour ago. I did not sleep the whole night. I'm still on US time, so it's a bit of a struggle, but I'm trying my best. So.
All right. So that's why we just kind of switched around a bit and we call you in on the 3rd.
Okay, perfect.
So Christine and Brinda wanted to know the number of registrations. We have about 40 to, I think 45 registrations for the apparel division. And that's a very good number so far that we've seen with the Wiki webinar.
I see already there are more than 20 people who've come on.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, they're expecting more. We're expecting more people.
Well, Tanya, considering people have a Zoom burnout, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Exactly. So, Christine, are you back in Delhi?
She's on the phone.
Yeah, okay, she's on a call.
So how's the status in Muradabad, Tanya? COVID
It's all
travel?
back to normal, Rohini. It's all back to normal, and we hear that the cases are rising again, but in very small numbers, though. But I also suspect that a lot of people are not getting the testings done again. But it's just a wait and watch situation everywhere. I mean,
Okay. Are people careful, or is it like the typical as it is all over the world? Careless.
oh yeah,
Careless,
oh
careless,
yeah.
careful.
Now with Eid around the corner, I mean, I don't know. We are sitting on another bomb to explode. Really.
That is true. Well, we just cross our fingers as nobody really knows whether it's going to implode or it's going to explode. So let's hope that it doesn't implode or
It doesn't.
explode.
Or explode, absolutely.
No certainties at all. So.
So, Mitraji, did you have a word with Tamanna? She joining?
Yeah, she'll be joining a little later.
Okay.
So Mr. Luthra is having some trouble joining the platform. He's still trying. So.
Hi, Christine. Are you on your way back from Jaipur? Unmute Christine, Tanya.
So, Mitraji, you'll need to unmute Christine. I don't have the control actually, so.
Ah, there you are. There you are, Christine. Now we can hear you. No, we can't. We can't hear her. We can't hear you, Christine.
We can't hear you, Christine. No. Hi, Tamanna. Good evening.
Hello everyone.
Hello, Tamanna.
Hi.
Hi, nice to meet you, Tamanna. And Meghna.
Hello, how are you?
Tamanna, we also have Brinda Dutt here. She's the team leader at Triberg. And I must tell you all that actually the person behind the FICCI and BTA collaboration is actually Dr. Tamanna.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sure this is going a
And
great
she's the
series.
one, yeah, so she's the one who kind of suggested that we do the, these knowledge sharing webinars with the MSME members. And that's how we got started and introduced and
Great.
forward from there.
Yes. Looking forward to hear all of you, veterans in the industry.
Hardly, but thank you. Just been around.
It's good to share, Dr. Tamanna, then our brains will get empty. We can do something new. While the entrepreneurs can start all that we have learned and unlearned over the years.
True.
Truly.
So what are we waiting for, Tanya?
So we're waiting for Mr. Luthra. He's trying to get in, join. There's some issue with him. So we'll just give another minute. If not, we'll start.
All right. Thank you.
So Hemanji, if Mr. Luthra will not, if he's not able to join, then we'll begin by Christine doing the welcome, and once he joins, I'll introduce him then, and then he can come forward. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Just give a minute. If not, then we'll.
Yeah, sure. That's not a problem, but just to keep the flow
Yes, of
in
course.
place.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, sure. No problem. So Tamanna, Tanya, we can start. Probably he can speak later
All right.
if he's able to join.
Good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to you all. Hope you're all doing very well. My name is Tanya Bhatia, and I will be your host and moderator this evening. The FICCI CMSME and BAA knowledge sharing webinars have now been gaining momentum. Progressing into our fourth session today, it's a very interesting phase as we stay committed in hand-holding the MSME members. We are now getting more market and product specific, as today we narrow down further towards the American market with apparels. So without divulging more, I'd like to begin by inviting to open the webinar for today. I'd like to welcome Christine Rai. Christine, my dear friends, who is here with us today, is not only the pioneer of the buying agent trade, but also the founder of the Buying Agents Association, and now the patron-in-chief of the BAA. She has been the front face of BAA from the day of its conception and has been extensively involved in getting due recognition to the service sector sector and international trade with all EPCs and government bodies, hence bringing value to the trade. Christine started and headed the Indian Inc. in 1996, a leading buying agency of high repute with over 25 years. And now in 2020, merged with Tribal, another leader in the industry. This merger of the giants is a proof that their collective vision to bring India on the global map is far larger than the individual goals. I invite Ms. Christine Rai to share her thoughts today with members and with speakers and open the meet for today. Christine, you'll have to unmute yourself. Not able to hear you, Christine. Christine, we are not able to hear you. I think there is some issue with Christine's speaker. Hemanji, is Mr. Luthra here? Can I also?
Yeah, Mr. Luthra is here.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Luthra. Welcome to the show. I'd like to give a brief introduction to the members. Mr. Girish Luthra is the Senior Vice President of FICCI CMSME and a leading entrepreneur in the field of environment, infrastructure, and textiles. A textile engineer and management graduate by education. His keen understanding and interest in the fields of environment protection, waste management, and industrial infrastructure has allowed him to achieve success in a variety of businesses, which include textiles, waste management, environment, industrial infrastructure, and hospitality. Some of his recognitions include being a patent holder for a machine designs in textiles, being the recipient of the NRDC award by the Government of India in the year 2000. He was an integral part of the committee set up by Ministry of Textiles, Government of India, to give recommendations in the 12th five-year plans for textile and apparel and textile policy 2014. He has been the head of Environment Committee of the Southern Gujarat Chamber of Commerce and Industry for over a decade and is the ex-chairman of CII, Southern Gujarat Zone. Over the years, he's been a part of the several national and international delegations as an expert on cleaner production and hazardous waste management. He's a registered faculty on the same subjects with UNIDO and UNEP. Moreover, he's also closely been involved in the projects with USAID, UNEP, and SIDA for improving work practice in textiles in India. I welcome Mr. Girish Luthra.
Thank you.
For today's show.
I'm extremely sorry because of connectivity, I got late. I respectfully first welcome my international partners from BA and my Indian partners with Vicky, Tanya, Tamanna, Brinda, Christine, Megan, and the whole gamut of people who have collected here to listen and be a part of this event. Just to give a quick brief on what is MSME FICCI, it was a confederation formed 6 years back just to support the MSME. From there, I go to textiles. That MSME in textile is almost 80%. And the potential of growth with China plus one now as being adopted worldwide by all the countries, India becomes a preferred choice. And preferred choice not only because now that all those non-trade barriers, including environment or quality standards or carbon footprint, all these aspects have been addressed within India for last 10 to 12 years, whereas China did not attend it as much as they should. So we have an added advantage. Plus, being a traditional textile industry of the world, the textile production center, we would always be at a better edge. Nevertheless, we all know that the growth of textile exports in last 6 months has been tremendous to US, almost 22% growth, which is very good. And we look at doubling this every year for next 5 years. Being part of textile ministry, I know the number of things that have been there for supporting MSME by the ministry. Now even R&D and innovations and new product development and training have been a major focus of of all governments within India, that is the national government as well as certain state governments, to support this activity. So with this quick background, I'm sure we have great partners with in BAA, nothing better than a manufacturing sector and marketing get together. And this is a great event. I look forward to, on the lighter note, the commanders of the world, that is all the women force, Tanya, Brinda, Christine, Tamanna, and Megan, to lead this whole activity of driving and marketing. As such, the whole textile industry thrives only on women. We men are only suppliers and pleasers to the women. With this note, I welcome all of you once again. Thank you for participating, and I thank BA to be joining hands with us. And I would like to be excused at this point. I have a meeting to attend which has been delayed. So welcome and continue. I can join you again maybe after half an hour or so. Thank you. Back to you, Tanya.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Luthra. It was a pleasure to have you with us, even though for a few moments. I'm sure, your experience and knowledge is going to be very valuable to our trade, the buying agents fraternity as well. And we hope that we can collaborate with you sometime to share some more knowledge with our members too.
Sure. So quickly, I forgot one thing. For my
Yeah.
American counterparts, we at India are looking at major investments to be brought in by manufacturing sector for manufacturing sector in textile. Textile Ministry is coming up with two major schemes. One is the production link incentive for larger investments beyond 200 crores. And we are getting Mitra as 7 parks in the country, which will be mega parks of 1,000, 2,000 acres each. And there we are looking at 200 to 500 crore investment to be supported with cheaper infrastructure, cheaper utilities for 5 years to make it more attractive for our manufacturers to join hands from international market to us. This was just a point which I thought it should be passed on. Today I had a meeting with Government of Gujarat Industry Secretary with Vicky. We discussed the same thing, that how can we bring at least 10 players in 1 year to Gujarat to manufacture. but I'm here right now at the national platform. Let's look at 50 in next 1 year across the country. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Christine, are you in a better spot now? No, I think we are still not able to hear you. So I think we'll move on to our first speaker for today.
Unmute herself.
She's unmuted. I think there is some technical problem because I can see her trying to speak, but she's not.
Tanya, if I may say so, I think Christine asked Rohini to speak on her behalf.
Did you hear that?
So, yeah. So she will be speaking later.
Rohini ji.
All right, Ji. 1 minute. Thank you, Tanya, and thank you, Mr. Luthra. Today's talk is going to be quite interesting because we are meeting here on a platform with BA and FICCI for the industry, for the apparel industry, which has been on a rocky boat in the last almost 1.5 years in terms of many issues created by Corona, which we don't really need to go into. So I'd like to welcome Brinda Dutt and Megan Olari, who will be speaking. And thank you to Tamanna. I had prepared really actually a thank you note, but now it's a welcome note to all of you to talk. I'd let you talk and not give my suggestions at the moment, and then we'll wrap up at the end of the day. So welcome to BAA and BAA's platform, which is now becoming very important to the business of apparel. And we are contributing greatly since the last 40 years in this business. And I look forward to hearing all of you, young ladies, dogs in the business, and contributors to MSME, SMEs, which is, as Mr. Luthra said, is 80% of the businesses in apparel. So let's go forward and hear all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rohini ji. We'll still want you around and conclude the meet for today also, for sure.
I'll do that. I'll
Yeah.
do that.
I move on to inviting our first speaker for today, Dr. Tamanna Chaturvedi. Dr. Chaturvedi is a consultant at the level of Assistant Professor at Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, Ministry of Commerce, Government of India in the area of WTO and trade policy issues. She possesses master's degree in agricultural economics. She's a gold medalist from GB Pant University and has been professionally trained for handling research assignments from Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. At international level, she has been a trainer for regional trade policy course with World Trade Organizations for Southeast Asian countries and Mekong Institute, Thailand. Apart from teaching management students at the institute, she also carries an experience of more than a decade handling the Center for Small and Medium Enterprise both at Delhi and Regional Center Shimla. Since its inception in 2005, Dr. Tamanna has been extending a hand-holding support to MSMEs at pan-India level towards globalizing their domestic business. I invite Dr. Tamanna with her topic for today, Global Market Opportunities for Indian Apparel Exporters Post-COVID-19.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you.
And dear audience and my co-panelist, it's a pleasure seeing the BAAF and FICCI Association moving and taking shape now. Very pertinent topic, Tanya, because as we heard from Mr. Luthra himself into the sector that the apparel sector has badly been hit in this particular COVID scenario, and it becomes all the more important for us to understand this sector only because of the fact that we are undergoing a lot of challenged because of the employment issues in this sector. A lot of export market identification is required, a lot of innovations are required. So I'm happy that there are two speakers who's talking about the opportunities in the US. So what I'm planning to do in quick half an hour's time is to give a global opportunity analysis and how the exporters should actually focus on which market, what product they should be looking forward in the apparel sector. Technically, if you find friends, when we evaluate the COVID-19 factor, we basically come out with identifying certain sectors where India has got a huge potential to export. We assume that if the China's anti-sentiment is being captured by India, and whether we are competitive enough against the Southeast Asian economies, because after China, it is primarily the sourcing is going to Vietnam for apparels, it's going to Cambodia, which is the least developed economies. Are we competent in those sectors against Bangladesh, against Vietnam? Is a very important pertinent question. So I've tried to do a SWOT analysis of Indian apparel industry and identified specific products that the company should be taking in mind. Keeping in mind the weaknesses are equally important. Are we actually akin to exporting to US and Europe? So I understand this session is all on Europe, on US. So I'll concentrate on one traditional market, which is Europe. My co-panelists are already explaining the opportunities in the US, but at the same time, I would also like to give my participants today a yardstick, whether I should sell my product to US or should I sell my product to Europe, or maybe I should completely go to a different market of Africa or CIS or ASEAN. There is a yardstick to measure that opportunity is what we will talk, because if every Indian company start exporting to a common product, common market, there's a tough fight amongst ourselves. So that is a weakness of Indian companies to struggle and do a tug of war in the traditional market. And what is equally important is that when the world is eyeing the fall of China, so is India prepared? Is it that if China moves away, is it that the business of the entire world market comes and fall in our lap? That is a threat that we have to understand. So let's talk about these 6 very interesting questions that the business is asking today. That do we get opportunities in all the sectors if China just vanishes from the market, which we are assuming to be? Do we get equal opportunity across all the global markets of the world for my apparel sector? What happens if China goes? Are we buying a lot of raw material from China, a lot of trimmings, a lot of lot of accessories from China to come out in my apparel sector? What will happen to my value added product exports in which case? And India has been signing a lot of trade agreements. I'm surprised. I'm not surprised if we come out with plethora of trade agreements in next 2 years' time. India is in a process of signing a trade agreement with Australia, with Canada, with New Zealand, with a lot of these companies and countries looking for outsourcing their job works to India. I think it is a time for us to take a first mover advantage. Let us see which sectors that would be. So there is a great wall of China converting into a great fall of China. And this great fall of China that we are assuming, trends, we are getting opportunities in these product categories. I've also concentrated, apart from apparel, slightly on other accessories and handicraft sector as well. So within the sectors that China has lost the market in last 2 years' time, it is basically the articles of apparel, which is both printed and knitted and crochet. We also have a huge opportunities coming in the footwear sector, which is actually a fashion accessory along with the apparel, and also some level of home textile is what we are getting an opportunity in the market where Indian companies should actually eye the fall of China is basically the US, that we are handling it today very efficiently. Apart from that, Japan is also a market that's going very good. Then we have an opportunity in South Korean market. I will touch base on South Korean market as well today. But the other market that we are touching amongst the traditional market is most of the European countries. Apart from Europe, it's Canada and Russia, and also the Canadian market, which is basically giving a huge opportunities of China's fall in these markets. Now, let's talk about exact products, guys. It is our time to be extremely precise. Now, don't get lost with this graph. Let me quickly explain what I've tried to do in this whole thing is, you are trying to see on the first panel that India, in terms of production, did you know we are the third largest world manufacturer of baby garments. And the only country that gives us competition in the baby sector is the another blue color that you see in Bangladesh. So India captures almost 11.8% of the total world market of baby garments, and the only country which is giving competition to me in Bangladesh. China is absent in baby, Vietnam is absent in baby garment, even Turkey. These are three major prime competitors. Then we are fourth in the world when it comes to men's shirt, men's nightwear and nighties, and this is basically the women nighties and pajamas, and that is we are the number 4. The only competition that comes from men's shirt is Vietnam, capturing 11.7% and 11.8% of Bangladesh. So technically the whole point that I want to bring home is, instead of fighting post COVID, when the lockdowns will gradually open up, instead of fighting for a limited market share in the common destinations in the product category, which everybody is doing. Let me give you an example of a t-shirt. Now you see that one of the most exported product categories that India has been doing, and a lot of companies are working on t-shirts, where India is the 6th largest producer and exporter in the world market. But then every single country, you see, Bangladesh is capturing a t-shirt market. Almost 14% of the world market is captured by Bangladesh. Another 5%, 6% market of t-shirts is captured by Turkey. So instead of working on, and if you look into the next slide, the next chart in this slide, these are the top major commodities from each state. Now, if you look into China, 16% of their total textile exports in this category is coming from t-shirts. Bangladesh into t-shirt, Vietnam again t-shirt, Turkey again t-shirt, and India again t-shirt. So we are comparing basically exactly on the same product category. So instead of struggling and getting suffocated with your competing suppliers, let's try and very smartly pick up a product where I do not have a great so these are two commodities. One is baby garments and another is men night dresses, which actually will not give you a huge competition in times to come. When I talk about the other two product categories, which is in case of other products which are in the 62 HSN code category, again, I went product by product mapping of what India supplies and what each of these countries supplies. So we realized that for us guys, India, we are in terms of capturing the world market share, we are capturing almost 10% for shawls, again 10% for babies, woven shirts, men's shirts, tracksuit. So the inference from this chart that you will see, guys, that the only competitor in shawl segment is China for India. And if China, there is an anti-purchase sentiment for China, shawls is something that will really pick up post-COVID. Then the only country which is again in the same category like 61, except for Bangladesh, there is no other country concentrating on kids sector, and kids is a very, very growing sector. So with huge mortality rate in the COVID for young and old population, it is the kids segment which hasn't been hit much. If you look into the COVID data, there is more young and elderly people who have actually, the mortality was high, but kids have been has survived throughout this whole pandemic. So in times to come, kids segment becomes a very interesting segment where Bangladesh doesn't give you, except for Bangladesh, none of these countries have a focus on the kids sector. In women's shirt, you'll be surprised that India is better placed in the international market than Turkey and Vietnam and even Bangladesh for that matter, and China is absent. So women's shirt is another very interesting product category when it comes in apparel exports in the 62 chapter code. Men's shirt, Turkey and Vietnam and China again is absent. Only one country that. So these are certain interesting dynamics to help you understand what should you be picking up in this particular chapter code. Interestingly, on the basis of what has been the prime export commodities of these countries, prime focus areas of these countries for export, and what has been their performances in the export market over a period of time. So irrespective of whether we are talking about the US market today or we are talking about European market or the Korean market, these are the steps that Indian companies should technically look into before analyzing to look for and run for a buyer irrespective of the market. So it's basically what products are high on demand. I've given you a glimpse of it for the apparel sector. Is the demand sustainable in that product category? Or are we only talking a smooth transition phase by the time there is an anti-China sentiment? So I invest a lot of these energies to export my product in the kids segment, and the China jumps into the market again after the COVID is there. So when the anti-China sentiments waves off, say 1 year from now, you again getting yourself suffocate, find yourself getting suffocated. So we need to understand that is it a sustainable plan of action for my competitors in the markets that I will choose? What is the price advantage that Indians would have? And I have done this exercise for all the 6 steps for you across in the apparel sector. So, what is the duty structures? Can I take advantage of the trade agreements? What are the quality concerns? How should I sell my products to these countries? Because I'm not the only one who is taking and eyeing the advantage of Chinese fall in that market. So the world is full of a lot of trade agreements. Brazil is into a lot of Latin American trade agreement. Europe is into another set of agreement. US, Canada, Mexico are into an agreement. Entire Africa, 55 countries are into agreement. Then we have Australia and New Zealand. So in this whole plethora of emergence of trade agreement, import duty will play a very important role. So Indian government, as I said, is into signing a lots and lots of trade agreements. So this would mean I, as an exporter of garments, should be aware about the import duty structures and whether the signing of this trade agreement makes some sense to me as a supplier and to the US market or to the European market or to the ASEAN market for that matter. After that, guys, it is very important for us. I was doing this exercise for handicraft sector in 17 countries and across 167 products where fashion, textile and garment was also one of the part. And I was surprised to see how post-COVID, the consumption behavior is changing. How you can connect yourself and customize your product post-COVID selling on almost 15 different parameters. Because post-COVID, the demography has changed. As I said, we've lost a lot of elderly population and the age group of 35, 40, but we have kids coming up, right? Then we've talked about the mortality rate. So the data is to be seen that in the COVID times, whether it is more men who has expired or it is the female. So what is the demographical changes post-COVID in terms of age, in terms of gender? We're still waiting for these data points, but we need to understand how do I get the customer on board with me, knowing that the world is eyeing the opportunities, which is very limited in the post-COVID scenario. So I need to understand what is the technology interventions because everything is going digital in the market. What is the hobby analysis? You'll be surprised, not an apparel example, but you'll be surprised during the lockdown, the entire Philippines have started selling a lot of musical flutes to the market because people have taken up hobby. So let us see that how hobby and apparel can be connected, how health and apparel can be connected, how religion and color of preferences of a company can be connected because color has a lot of connect with immunity levels. If you drink water in green color, it helps you boost your immunity. Some color combinations will cure diabetes. People have got very sensitive on their health standards post-COVID. They're choosing a color of a cloth and a fabric, and that becomes it's a more than a fashion. It is a health-driven, technology-oriented selling that will matter in anything that we sell in the international market. So I've done an analysis. Maybe you can note down the HSN code if you are working. These are the product categories where in fashion as well as in textile sector where we have an immediate, moderate or no fall, where China's fall will immediately give benefit to India and Indian companies. If you're sitting, some of them in my session today, this is a short analysis. One table has taken us 3 months time to reach to this conclusion across 15 to 20 different parameters of why do I say a product is immediate. I'm not entering into the logic of it, but yes, this is a ready-made answer to the industry that you can short look forward for these product categories in the global market, assuming that the Chinese fall can be taken care of. We've also done some forecasting techniques for 2025 that which will be the markets for apparel industry and fashion industry. So rest assured, guys, apart from US, it is also the European market, which will remain as the topmost importer of fashion category in 2025. Within Europe, please target Germany and France as a more safe market within the European In the Asia Pacific zone, please target Japan. And in this ASEAN zone, please target Singapore. Asia, Africa, and Middle East are not very great takers expected to be in the by 2025. So these are the sustainable markets for your apparel industry. Let's talk about the most sustainable market that is expected to grow, that is the European Union for the apparel exports, guys. Beware of countries like China, Bangladesh, and Turkey to while you are targeting the European market, of course, because they are my prime competing countries in this. Now, how can you sell? I have given you all the product categories. I've given you the growth. If you look into two prime categories that you should sell in the apparel category while going to the European market, where Northern Europe is one of the most interesting market, and they are buying is a sustainability story. So there's a concept of recyclability coming up. There's a concept of reuse coming up. There's a concept of sustainable of apparel coming up in the market. There is a concept of smart technology coming up where you are wearing a technology. So people don't want to wear smart watches and Fitbits anymore. They probably would like, I'll even tell you the pictures of how these fabrics are designed. The Fitbits are designed in a t-shirt itself. So they are very conscious about number of steps they have taken throughout the day that builds them more healthy and more better immune system. So you have to have a wearable technology and smart clothing that's coming in the time. And that's the reason you figure out that there are two products which are actually growing very high until 2025 is active sportswear expected to grow by 13.8%. And we have the other product category, again, if you look into the fashion sportswear. So concentrate on two categories while exporting to the European market. It's fashion and the active sportswear. Other product category which are going beautifully well apart from these are basically again related to health and immunity, that is swimwear is a great market. Which countries you should be offering? As I rightly said, there are top 6 markets. Out of that, Germany and France are expected to be the biggest importer. And the whole concept is that these countries have very high acceptance towards buying from non-European suppliers. And they also give you very beautiful prices. So keep an eye, we are expecting Brexit. Now keep an eye on the Brexit development. And within the non-traditional markets of Europe, one country that you can really rely, which is buying big time from developing countries, is the Poland, which is the Europeans' fastest growing importer of apparel category. Do not invest your energies looking for buyers in Romania, Hungary, Lithuania, Bulgaria, and Estonia. They are just not the right market for the apparel sector. So final tips for the apparel in the European sector before we move to the other markets. It is basically, as I said, increase your focus to the fashion sportswear, active sportswear, knitwear, and dresses. Swimwear is a very important, very interesting component coming up. Sustainability in the normals. If I'm selling knitwear and dresses, try and make them organic, try and make them eco-friendly, try and make them some story of environment, some story of climate change. Sustainability is the game that you will try to work on. Now let's talk about the pricing. The best of the price where you're having a positive price change is the jackets and the blazers. Fashion sportswear, as I said, there's a huge demand and you're getting better prices. The denim prices denim have lost the market. Then suits and enlistment have also lost, trousers have lost the market. Then what has gained is the dresses, the knitwear, skirts, men's shirts. These are which are growing markets in the growing products in the European market. Apart from the normal product categories, it is also looking for a parallel market for fashion accessories where please concentrate on men parallelly to women because we thought that it was all about women. Even men have started working. A very there's a craze for a very interesting product category that's coming up, which is called men's. Men was making a very simple purchase of subtle socks. Now, in European market, they've suddenly come out with eye-catching colors and designs and a very useful high comfort socks. So the gray suit and a very colorful, comfortable socks is something coming as a trend. So you can look forward for some level of interest generated in the men's category. Now, guys, when companies had come for so many years for consulting at IIFT to us, we trained them that it is not, don't get lost in generics. Go from generics to specifics, which would technically mean I need to know which market is good for cotton, which market is good for man-made. So I may be a product supplier of men's night shirts. But if I'm looking for men's night shirts and pajamas of cotton, Italy, UK, Germany, and France are my market. But if I make these pajamas of the man-made fiber, Spain and Belgium adds to the kitty. Similarly, if I'm making the night shirts on knitted and crochet excluding of cotton, it is Ireland and Denmark and Romania, which is your market. And for the bathrobes and dressing gowns, it's basically Poland, as you said, is one of the largest buyer from the developing country. So let's understand the specificity of the products that you are selling according to make a small change, and the recipient country within the same continent would change. One of the very interesting thing that companies are doing post COVID is that there is a red alert in UK that as a effect of COVID-19, there is the kids of UK are very prone for skin cancer warning, because they say that the pollution has been dropped because movement is very low in the lockdown period. So because of the drop in pollution from the COVID virus, there is a depletion of this layer where people are exposed more to the ultraviolet rays. You know what? Companies in India have started looking for selling linen as anything that has a storyline of ultraviolet protection by fabric, where linen plays a very important role. So they've started looking for linen frocks and introduce them as COVID sector for the kids segment to prevent kids from skin cancer. Right. So these are innovations to understand the post-consumer behavior in the market. Let's talk about some non-traditional markets which are not as COVID hit as the traditional markets of US and Europe. So you may probably try and look forward for African market, Latin American, CIS, Canadian market. Quickly going to the Canadian market, guys, when you try to eye a product selling in a market, we have to take care of two things. You are not the only one who are selling this product. You have other global market eyeing this opportunity. So Canada is a great market for apparel. At the same time, let's understand what exact products Canadians are going to buy post 2020. I have given you this slide, probably will be shared with you. Look for your specific HSN code that Canadians are buying for last 5 years, and where you have a tariff advantage as well. So if you look into the up table about the men's and the boys trousers and shorts of cotton which are knitted or crochet, the India shares only 2.5% of the total imports of Canada as compared to your biggest competitor. So Chinese fall will not give you any great deal in this market of Canada for this product, only because they are already buying this product big time from Cambodia. And if they are buying this at 0% rate of duty from Cambodia, why are they going to buy this product from India with it at 18% and not that preferred market? So please refrain yourself selling this product to the Canadian, but yes, you can look forward for 343 and you can look forward for 610310, where the demand patterns are supposedly increasing. Try and see what's sellable in Canada. So they are big time buying all kind of sweat jerseys, chain jerseys, polar fleece, kivas, and plush velvet. And we have to refrain and price my product very beautifully, because I have 17% import duty as compared to Mexicans, who become another competitor apart from the Cambodians in that product category, coming at 0% rate of duty. There is a huge opportunity for sportswear in the Canadian market as well. Canada is one of I'll give you a very interesting success story to give you a feel of innovation that will help you survive. Now, Canada is a home to the biggest number of polar bears in the world. And that's the reason when we were hand-holding Indian companies, we started looking, this was companies who were selling normal gloves to the global market. So when we targeted the Canadian market, we said, why don't you do a design intervention and create a polar bear series, because they are very, very interestingly into the polar bear. Did you know that why is Santa Claus a combination of red and white? and as for the flag of Canadians, because the origin of Santa Claus is basically Canada. So why this? I think we need to design and understand there are certain things that comes from that market, and that helps you help design a product in shapes of the socks can be designed, the color combinations can be looked at, and the tariff instrument also needs. So these are what the Canadians buy, and we need to take care of the exact products. There is a Canadians, this is having the longest coastline more than Indonesia. So there is a huge market for selling all these women bikinis and dresses which are used as a beach wear in these countries. Then always take care of the purchasing power where you're trying to export. So every European market is different. If you're supplying something to countries like traditional destinations of Germany, France, and UK, the purchasing power parity is very high. So the high value products and the large scale of operations can be looked out in Germany, France, and UK, but mid value products can go in Italy and Spain. Never try a very, very hard product in Germany and in Belgium and Denmark. The per capita consumption, per capita affordability is not that great. Similarly, if you go to the CIS countries, Armenia, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan are poor economies as compared to Russia. So what you can sell in Russia is not what you can sell in Belarus, is not what you can sell in Kazakhstan, where Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Uzbekistan are the world's poorest countries. So price your product, price your apparel, price your products to these countries when you're focusing to these countries accordingly. Then try to look forward for the demography, because as you can see, in most of the CIS countries, it's a working population. In most of the European countries, it is again the working population and followed by an older population. So try and target the country population and try and see how the demography have changed post-COVID. Try and see the religion of that country. In CIS, you will figure out that it's a Muslim country, right? And if you look into CIS is a Muslim country, then you have Indonesia. Did you know that the world's largest Muslim population is not in Iran, Iraq, and GCC? It's basically in the Indonesian market. And the culture of the country doesn't allow the men to wear pure silk. So if I'm trying to target a particular product in a particular market, it is upon me to realize and understand what's the religion of that country. Try and understand the customs and traditions of that market. Like, for example, if you look into the traditional dresses in Belarus, they resemble the Naga shawls. If you resemble the tops that these people wear in CIS is something similar to Kantha embroidery. The lace that they have is simply available in India big time. So we have an opportunity in CIS countries for crochet and lace suppliers. Hemant, please ping me when you want me to finish. So if you want the garment opportunities in Belarus, see how beautifully they use these beads. They're using a color called rushnik, which is something similar to my kantha dresses. So we have to connect ourselves with what these people wear. They use slutch belt, which is made out of silk, and this is the national symbol of Belarus. And this is there. There's a huge market waiting for you for embroidery, right? So the large and rising per capita consumption is Italians are big per buyers. South Korea, did you know South Korea was crazy for embroidery products? And Russians were crazy for embroidery. They are large and rising per capita consumption. Large, don't go after Turkey, Japan, and UK, Canada, because they seem to be a bigger market, but their consumption of embroidery is declining over a period of time. Small but growing consumption. Thailand have started this huge growing consumption of embroidery products, and India, they look forward to Indian embroidery, provided you take care of the color combinations and of course the motifs in these countries, right? Koreans, for that matter, women and girls dresses of Korea. China is your only competitor. Now the China is lost the market. Maybe the apparel suppliers of women or girls dresses of cotton can have an opportunity in Korea. One very interesting thing in Korea, guys, they have a concept of couple market. So the couple go to the market and they want exactly the dress. So you can sell this concept of matching clothes for a men, exactly the same couple design to women. That's the tradition in the Korean market, which you should be knowing as an apparel designer. Then did you know that there was a great Mithila museum in Japan? There are trains in Japan and Canada which are decorated with Bihar's Mithila painting. So try and utilize these consumer shifts about utilizing these motifs in your embroidery, motifs while designing your dresses, and this is what is very much. Try and understand the ergonomics of it. Brazilians are the tallest women, so try and design their dresses on the ergonomics. So what you design for a Latin American market is not what you design for a Japanese and a Southeast Asian market. Take care of the color, guys. Never ever try to sell a green color to a Latin American market because most of their forest-borne diseases are basically from the Amazon forest. So it's very, very averse is what Latin America for the green color. On the other hand, high guys are all about their king's color and they love the king and they wear a lot of yellows to prove it. So try and understand the color preferences, the patterns of the Brazilian market. Brazilian again is a land of beaches. You have bikinis and you have anything related to beaches is something. You have to also innovate, guys. Understand the technical textile market. So apart from just the apparel, you can look into medical textile as you might be doing into PPE kits and all. You are into Indotech, you are into home tech, meditech, cloth tech, sports tech, agrotech, geotech. These are the world is looking forward for shifting from traditional apparel to a technical textile market where this is a smart clothing market. So by 2024, military and defense application clothing is it's a different category altogether, and smart t-shirts, which technology driven t-shirts, and I've also given you certain pictures of how they have wiring across these t-shirts, and you can actually control body temperatures. You don't need thermo scanning at the COVID time. Your t-shirt itself is telling you whether you can enter a mall or not. So these are smart fabrics and textiles that are coming up, and they have basically your body temperature and they just on and off. So smart fabrics. Indonesia is the largest hub of nurses, so they have a huge demand of nurse coats and doctor coats and all that. Currently, they are buying big time these coats from Bangladesh. India has a trade agreement with ASEAN. We can look forward for such markets. Apart from the traditional apparels, we can also look for textile to be used. If your inventories are lying idle, you're not having orders for traditional textile and apparel, try and see how differently can we use this. This is a very big, this is a use of a traditional fabric in a modern interior in Tashkent, where they've converted all the brocades as wall-to-wall textile covering in their hotel industry. So since post-COVID, guys, is bringing a lot of digital in thing. So the digital marketing and the selling online will become until the time the virtual trade fairs are on. We need to also understand how the world is moving in terms of digitization. So we have 3 to 4 destinations that are big time selling online, purchasing online: North America, South America, Western Europe, more than Eastern Europe, and the East Asian market where the penetration is beautiful. So fortunately, the biggest product category that people buy online in Latin America is clothing and accessories. It is for Southeast Asia, it is again clothing and accessories. But within Southeast Asia, never try to sell anything online to the Malaysian market because they have the slowest and the most expensive internet in the world. South Korea, again, 94% of the smartphone users are researching products online, and that is how, and finally take care of the compliances, as I said, sustainability story, water story, compliances story, fair trade story, and that makes you sellable your products in the international market. So that was a quick analysis of how you can take forward, and all the best for your success to post-COVID. Thank you.
I know you're on mute.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Thanks. Thank you so much, Tamanna. That was really a very, very informative and a very well-researched presentation. I can really see your thing with numbers and statistics, and also some very interesting features and facts with regards to specific markets that were highlighted by you.
Thank you, Tanya. And I'm sure that we need a lot of detailed market research to survive in post-COVID scenario, because suddenly the market will open, they'll take their own transition time to get up. So I'm looking forward to inputs from Brinda and the colleagues to hear specifically what US has to offer as an opportunity. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tamanna. Thank you for joining us today. I'd like to move on and invite Ms. Brinda Dutt to share her views with us today. Brinda was born and brought up, educated also in Calcutta. She moved on to do her graduation from Lady Shri Ram College, Delhi University. After an initial stint in banking, she moved on to the apparel industry. In her words, the fact that what we do is multidimensional, it is exciting even now, the creative piece of it as well as the business side of it. Strategy, supply chain, marketing and sales, operations, finance. After 30 years in the industry, there's never a boring or a mundane or a repetitive day as she remains passionate about her product. An avid reader, traveler, musician, nature lover, supporter of animals, Brinda will be sharing her knowledge with us today through her experiences on how to innovate and grow your business in the US market. Brinda, you need to unmute yourself.
Now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Tanya. And thank you so much to BAA and Vicky for this invite. It's really, I'm thrilled to be here. And to Christine for thinking of me, pulling me out from one little chair in one little room where I sit. But Tamanna, your presentation was just fantastic and so informative. And I feel like my presentation is going to be very, very small and very short. And I'll tell you why. Because when Tanya and I spoke, she said the earlier webinar where people came and attended, some of it was a very, very meaningful, but spoken to an audience that was already knew a lot about the apparel industry. So she wanted to keep it very basic and simple. So I've actually chosen to do that, and it's short because I thought it'll be better to keep the presentation short, and I'd be very happy to answer, brainstorm and talk to all of you with any questions you may have. Tanya, as you said, yes, I've been around for a while, and 25 years in has actually been out of 30 years, 25 years has been in the US market. And as Tamanna said, the other countries seem to be a little easier. Megan, no offense there. America, what I love about doing business with the US is there is a lot of structure to it. You can't just take a suitcase and go and show a sample and book your business. There is compliance, there's strategy, there's a financial partnership, a dialogue, there is production management system investigation. There is so many processes and protocols before one can even start doing business. So I remember when I started and I was doing European business and I moved to the US. In Europe, I would travel. I was a traveling salesman like all of us were. It's very easy to book business and start off. But this is a slightly different ballgame. So I'm going to start right now. I will, as I said, it's short. Last year was a very, very difficult year and it continues. COVID, I think, has impacted all of us in India and globally. There's been so much of human loss, so much of social loss, financial loss, economic loss everywhere. It's been extremely challenging and very, very difficult. I think what we need to do is, okay, it's not moving. Sorry, one sec. Is this better? Can people see it now? Okay. So just to continue, while it was a very difficult year, I think Indians are very resilient. While the industry has been massacred, really, with such loss of orders and doing business with the US, some of you are already doing business with the US, I'm sure you felt a lot of pain. But I think hope and faith is what has kept us going. because we're resilient. And more than innovating and trying to grow the business, I know it's a very lofty title that we gave our presentation, but I think the most important learning from the pandemic in order to do business and continue doing business is to unlearn everything that we think we know and honestly try and survive. And for that, we need to be doing so many things. So what I've done is this is the essence of my presentation. It's one slide. The customer has to be at the center of any thought, discussion, strategy. And as Tamanna said, spend time identifying the customer correctly. So I would, with my little experience, recommend to everyone, please identify the customer base in the US very correctly. Match it up to what you do. So in the US, you have the retailers, you have the huge department store tier, Macy's, etc. They're all struggling right now for the last few years. You have the biggies, you have the Walmarts, you have the Costco's. You have the discounters who are doing phenomenal business post-pandemic. You know, Ross, Burlington's, TJ Maxx, Marshalls. If you're doing boutique-y stuff, which is very fashion, then there's a whole market for you out in LA, in California. If you're doing even Florida, actually, small quantities. So I think identifying what and who you want to do business with is very, very important. Traditionally, the way we used to do business, we would go to Magic. We would, again, try and take a suitcase and go and travel. We would make random calls. We would call up APC. Those are all, I think they could work, but those are not models that will help, I think, in today's context. So unlearn those traditional models, study, research your customer, and figure out who you want to do business with. The second part of this, if you just go up, is the research. I don't think, honestly speaking, and I've learned the hard way, and I've handled more than 40 brands in Tribe in the last 25 years, is I don't think, and as I said, I've learned the hard way, we don't do enough research. We don't use enough data points. We don't use enough analytics. We don't do enough competitive research. We just show up at a customer's doorstep saying, I want to do business with you. Or we show up at a buying agent's office saying, you know, this is what I make. I want to do business. Find me something to do. Again, those were traditional models. Please unlearn that approach. So when you're identifying your customer base, please do as much research as possible. And I'll give you an example. If you have targeted, say, a Kohl's or a Target or a Costco, and you've set up a meeting and they're selling something at $12.99, marking it down to $9.99. What they'd be interested to see from you is what can you offer them which they can sell at $12.99, which is a better product. It's a better fabric, it's better designed, it's got a better hand. Or can you offer a $12.99 and take it down to a $9.99? So that cost engineering part is very important. So please spend time researching your customer, figure out who you want to do business with and go after it. And trust me, it works because we are resilient and we are positive people and we want to do business, so we'll have to do it. So that's a change I would recommend strongly. It'll help. Innovation, again, is used a little loosely, but I think it's very, very key, especially in and I know Megan is going to speak a lot about it. Raw material innovation, as Mr. Luthra mentioned, that there's so much going on with the government helping the textile industry, could help us more, of course. But I think if we can spend some of our money and our budget when we do business into textile research and true innovation, it will really help India, it will help all of us, and it will help you. Because the tendency is usually to go into the same mill-made sector, or you go into your power loom sector, or you go to the handloom sector, and one is getting to see the same old fabrics, season after season after season. And then you change it into a different silhouette or a color, or you CAD it up differently. And I don't think we are doing enough there. So I would encourage everyone to please innovate and spend time. Triberg really, why it excites me to still be there is we set up a textile design cell, which was like 4 years ago. Jyoti is very, very passionate about a lot of these things. So every few years we've innovated. And I would really encourage people, go and sit with the mills, go and sit with them, show them some ideas that you have from your customer, develop some new weaves, blankets, develop your product from that, be it power loom, be it home, apparel, whatever. Obviously, I think Tamanna covered that a little bit. Sustainability is super important. Make sure your traceability certificates are authentic. I think India got a very, very bad name for some of us who tend to always take shortcuts and get the country a bad name. So if you're offering a sustainable product, please do make sure you're representing India, that it is truly sustainable. Pricing and lead time is a real challenge right now with yarn prices where they are, and with China ban. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how things pan out. There's going to be a mass rush, I know right now, to try and contain pricing, but we need to be very, very creative and innovative in how to do so. And I'd be happy to take this conversation offline or separately with people who might want to, talk about it, because I really don't want to dwell too much on this. It's pretty obvious. We need to be competitive. And as Tamanna said, there are other countries, unfortunately, who are eating our breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that is Bangladesh, and that is Vietnam, and that is Cambodia, and that is China. So we need to figure out a way where we can get our mills to literally, you go to a Vardhaman, Arvind, and all these owners, and I know them also well, but they are such big guys. They'll talk 45, 50, 60 days, 70 days. And the middle sector of the mills, they're fantastic ones all over India. Unfortunately, they don't probably have the money or the infrastructure or the capacity building to cater to a US order. We do millions and millions of yards with all these big mills, Arvind, Alok, Vardhaman, Nahar. So, but it is like working with a big giant. And sometimes I feel like banging my head because, I'm like, oh my God, my customer needs a 60-day lead time. And this guy in India is giving me 50 days or 60 days. So sometimes I do need to go shop outside and buy my raw material outside. So please, it's 70% of the product of the apparel is raw material. Please spend time, effort, research it, cost it right, get it down to a bare bone. Don't leave it to your fabric manager. Don't leave it to a yarn supplier. Don't leave it to a mill. Go dirty your hands. Get some nice product in, fabric in. For the product piece of it, which is the next part of the innovation or unlearning, again, I'm saying we tend to just do the same thing because that's the human mind. We just like structure, we like routine, and we all follow patterns. So the pattern of going and selling and developing product was you just go traditionally, you'll make one proto sample, you'll send it to your buyer, it'll come back, you'll cost it, you'll forget about it. Then you'll start writing or calling your customer saying, what happened? Do you like that sample? By now, 14 days have gone by. The customer, meanwhile, has gotten something from China or another country. It's so much faster. It's on trend. They've moved ahead. And we're sitting over here, some of us. Again, I'm speaking on my personal experience, right? This is all my personal experience coming out. Some of us will sit and cry and say, oh my God, I spent so much money in sampling. I made 3 trips there. Nothing came out of it. I made a beautiful sample. I gave a great price. But go back to the research, understand what competition is doing, and understand the speed. So I think when we're developing product, and I'm going to leave it to Megan to cover this side of it, because I don't want to run late and overspeak, but we need to reduce our lead time when we are developing product. We need to innovate and make sure it's trend right. We need to completely digitize, and we don't have to spend super loads of money investing in fancy technology, but yes, we need to start doing things virtually, digitally, take videos, send things in 48 hours, in 72 hours, and show the customer how hungry you are. Sometimes we tend to just assume that by getting a tech pack, we're going to get business. And America does not work like that, right? So please focus on lead times and focus on developing product which is priced right. and it has to be fantastically on trend. One thing I'd like to mention post-COVID, there is no buying pattern anymore in terms of seasons. So while there is an overarching, obviously an overarching need to design per season, spring, summer, fall, holiday, resort, etc., today it is all about, it's seasonless. And Tamanna covered a part of it. Post-COVID, there are new categories that have come up from a demand point of view: activewear, loungewear, kids wear, PPE, masks. I mean, there are tons of new categories. Those are not season driven at all. They're season proof. Some of kids wear is recession proof as well. So please don't think that, again, when you're designing for the US, that, you know what, you've done one capsule and now you're going to wait for 3 months before you even start thinking about the next one. Honestly, I show new stuff to my customer every week, and I'm managing about 17 customers. And that's in different forms. Some could be 5 new ideas, some could be 5 new fabrics, some could be, okay, this is what your competition is doing. One could be my design team has created a proper range, so they feel that, oh my God, Triberg is hungry, Brinda's team's hungry. They're there all the time, showing new things. So when their designer is coming and showing them a new idea, first recall will be, oh, let's send it to Triberg, or let's send it to that team that's hungry. As agents, we are taught to be hungry. Our stomachs are never filled. And that's something Mr. Bakshi has done so well, and I respect him so much for that. The last point in the product innovation piece of it, and I don't want to call it innovation, in the product piece of it, is a customer-specific line. My request to all the exporters here, some of you have evolved and moved beyond, so please pardon my saying so, but some of you are still in the nascent stage. Do not ever make the big cardinal mistake of designing one line and going and shopping and showing it to every customer that you're going to meet. That is the biggest mistake, and that is not going to get you any returns. Please, please go back, study your customer, make a customer specific, brand specific line, design it like that. You don't have to show 100 things, show 10 things, but make it so relevant for that brand so they know that you've designed it for them. Do not make generic lines and put it in a suitcase and go and try your luck. It's going to be very difficult for you to book business. Pricing, I think I've covered that. It has to be priced right. You have to be competitive. And it was so interesting when Tamanna shared that. I had no idea men's shirts, we were number 3 in the world. I mean, to me, India lost the basic men's business many years ago to Bangladesh, and fashion stayed on here. So that was very interesting, Tamanna. Again, very interesting statistics. So please be competitive in your pricing. I find that a lot of people, and I see it in Triberg as well, a lot of people today in the industry don't know how to cost. And it's sad because maybe they haven't been trained, or they don't want to learn. I don't know what it is, but please encourage your teams to learn how to cost, because most of them spend their entire careers and they don't know how to cost a product. And if you don't know how to do that, you will not be in business. You will not be able to survive in the next 5 years, because costs of production and manufacturing are going up, right? So please learn to price it right. Have your teams know how to do so. Technology is something which is the next part. And while I'm technologically quite challenged, but I'm a great, great proponent and believer, and I've pushed a lot of technology-based reporting systems in Triberg myself. In fact, our internal TMS system that we have we designed it in 1997 in Triberg. So please, again, it doesn't have to mean a lot of money. Start thinking technology, start thinking virtual, start thinking digitization. And all this has happened post-COVID. I mean, I remember last year, March happened, the lockdown happened, and all of us were like, oh my God, what are we going to do? So difficult. But we learned via Zoom, via virtual fittings, how to manage the whole process virtually. Bangladesh, I do a lot of business there. They have amazing production management systems, as does Vietnam, China. I've done production there, Kenya, even Kenya actually, Jordan, Sri Lanka. I would recommend for people who are, again, a lot of you have these systems, but a lot of you don't. Please spend time building a robust production management system which can be tracked digitally or via your mobile apps. Spend time and money in setting up the lines, focusing on efficiencies, focusing on wastage management. I find so much money, your profit goes away because you're not seeing our sewing line alteration and rejection. People will say it's 2%. It's not, it's 5% in a lot of small setups. Your fabric and cutting wastage can be 3%. You could be getting another 6% in your kitty as profit if you guys please set up your supply chain and your production systems very, very efficiently and digitize. You need to have 1 or 2 right people. The tendency is to go and rent a place, buy 100 Juki machines, get some aid from the government, a subsidy if at all, and hire 1 production manager and 1 QA manager or that too, and try and run a small show. That'll be okay for maybe some of those other countries that Tamanna talked about. But for the US, please, we are competing against the other countries, even for fashion. Please try and digitize it and tie-dye, try and constantly think of ways to improve productivity, efficiency, and cut cost. So that is the supply chain efficiency piece of it that I just wanted to briefly touch upon. The last part, I think, which is the arrow southwest, which is the most important one, I think, which is the mindset change. I think that is what's come post-pandemic. Let's unlearn, guys, because we will not survive otherwise. And unlearning is not difficult. You know, I did it. I do it all the time, but I had to do it so much more. It's very easy. Just turn the switch off, empty your brain, and just imagine that you're starting clean, fresh slate. Forget your experience and approach everything with a very fresh, new approach. And this has to come from the top, from the owners. Please learn to adapt. Please be flexible. We tend to be, and then we tend to sometimes become very rigid and inflexible. So we should learn from China. They're very smart in this. They'll say yes, yes, yes to every email. So the customer is always happy. Whatever stuff goes on in the back, there are no details. India, sometimes our communication is very, very challenging because we'll say yes, 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 it's all on time, all on time. Last minute, there'll be a surprise. And that's when an American customer gets pissed, because they want far more visibility to every process than the Europeans do. The Europeans will come and give you an order. They will trust you. They will want to know what's going on, but they're saying, you know what, we trust you. You deliver to us. America wants to see test reports, this, that, third-party audits, inspections. So please, communication, I didn't write it because I thought that who the hell am I to talk about communication and tell everyone, all of you, but that is something I think when we are changing our mindset, let's be quick, let's be solution-based. And honestly speaking, I think it'll help. It's helped me. I just have 3 more slides, which I'll quickly go through. You know, Tamanna covered a lot, but there is a lot of stuff going on in the sustainable side. I thought I'll just cover that. We've got to design trend right, customer right, priced right collections. I'm saying it over and over again. Keep it brand focused. 3D, we have, I think 3D really helps. There are a couple of softwares available. You can speak with them. Some of it's expensive, but you know, you can negotiate. It has helped us reducing sampling time, cost. We are using our virtual software to even design full collections. We're not sending physical samples anymore. We're doing it all virtually. Now that US is reopened, we are mixing it up. You know how it's a mix up of work from home and come to office, mixing it up, but primarily everything is being done virtually. We use our 3D design, 3D virtual software to even send our design concepts, not just fittings. I'm going to end with this. It's a case study. It's just happened to our team, to me, maybe 3 weeks ago. You know, I had a big order with fabric of shipping to Bangladesh. Bangladesh was making these men's shirts for me. and the Tamil Nadu lockdown happened, and we were left with, it's very sad because the yarns were dyed. It was a fall order, flannels, and there were like 2 crores of yarns which were dyed, and we had to have a cancellation because of the lockdown. Not on the entire order, but I think 40% of the order got cancelled, something like that. So my design team literally left is the Pantone global color trend, and what you see on the right, lower right, were the liability yarns. Now remember, these were all fall colors, dark colors. My design team literally in 24 hours, these were the CADs that got developed. All for spring 22. So they converted. I told them, put in white, put in light colors, and make the entire CADs look spring-like. They married it up with their own research for spring 22. This was done on the first day of the cancellation. On the second day of the cancellation, I told my 3D guy, my virtual fit guy, tech guy, to take those CADs and put it onto the avatar. So all those spring CADs that got designed got put onto the avatar. In 48 hours, we sent this presentation to the customer. 5 days after that, I sent a physical sample in that big, whatever, that big check that you're seeing in the middle. I mean, they're buying all of it now. We're making some changes. Now, this is something which is post-pandemic. It's very new. I would never have thought that my team could have done it, that I could have done it, we could have done it. But we did it in 48 hours, literally, and it was all done digitally. So when I'm saying speed, please think speed. Triberg is doing deliveries for customers at 15 days, 30 days, 45 days, 60 days. And that is why we are successful in the US market. So you've got to stop thinking 3 weeks, 10 weeks, 4 weeks. The mill over here didn't even know we were doing this. He was calling me and crying, saying, ma'am, like literally crying, right? He couldn't even think that this was possible. In a traditional way, we would have sent the liability, we would have sent a liability note, debit note, we would have been calling the buyer. You know, again, pointless. All that is pointless. So please be solution-based in how you think and how you approach your business, because that is what is going to help you survive. I think we will emerge stronger. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brinda. Thank you so much for sharing that practical knowledge from your on-ground experiences of over 25 years. I think they really are a package of profound information for the members here. I truly do believe that. Meanwhile, I'd just like to quickly check if we have any questions from members until now, before we move on to our next speaker. We have a question for Tamanna. Tamanna, are you there? Vanaja Yanibira would like to know, she says, I'm interested to enter kids garment exports to other countries. How may I enter there? Tamanna, are you online?
Yeah, Tanya, I will get in touch with her because kids is a very different sector as compared to men, women, adults. So we need to understand about lots and lots of compliances in the kids segment, designing and the color preferences that goes different from one country to another. So we will get in touch, Vanja, and that's a detailed analysis. And I'll, Tanya can share my coordinates and she can always get back to me.
Sure. Thank you, Tamanna. So as you heard, Tamanna, you can be in touch with Tamanna. We'll coordinate it for you and you can take it on from there. Thank you. Moving on to our next speaker for today. Members, our next speaker is here all the way from the USA, Miss Megan Olari, designer and founder Olari. A professional with over 12 years industry experience in the New York fashion scene, Megan merges her natural knack for design innovation with a self-taught business mindset to fuel namesake clothing brand Olari. Specializing in fruitful international design, adoption rates for retail empires like Anthropologie, Free People, Mango, Urban Outfitters, and many more, Megan thoroughly understands the needs of the global buyers. Sourcing and designing from India since 2012, Megan moved herself and her business to India from New York in 2018. She has since then an uprise in business, especially in the export sector to retailers in the US. Alongside running her own clothing brand, Megan mentors design students at Pearl Academy, India, and West Virginia University, USA, where she inspires fresh creatives to navigate the industry with knowledge, experience, and skill. I'd like to invite Megan to share her presentation with us today and take this evening forward.
Hello, thank you for having me. I will, and thank you, Brenda, for your very precise presentation. I definitely agreed with a ton of stuff that you said, definitely resonated. And I really love how you pivoted during your during that issue that you recently were faced with. So, I mean, that's great. I think that's what's definitely, what, post-COVID being solution-oriented is definitely all about. So I will go ahead and share. Okay. Okay. So I'll be covering design and trend, and essentially, tools overall to make your way into the US market. I'm also having play from current slide. I think I'm also having an issue doing these, playing it. Okay. Okay. All right. So overview. There's two different sides here. I think, being an American and coming from the US and sourcing and producing and designing with India, for X amount of years, I have seen, and now living in India, I have seen both sides. I am the customer. Essentially I started out as the designer, the customer, all of this. And then obviously now I'm on the other side where I understand kind of what's happening here. What are the issues that we're faced with on the ground with delays and supply chain mishaps and all of those things. So I'm really going to speak from both sides because, being, trying to understand different points of views and present them as such. So from the Western kind of culture and in terms of what I feel Americans appreciate, with India is, that craft aspect, right? So like those traditional techniques, that storytelling, the elements of design and the overall aesthetic, traditional textiles merged with contemporary silhouettes is really the key for design. That really happy kind of healthy marriage of East and West, that ornate workmanship on commercial silhouettes and shapes. So that's always been a success for me. I was just at Anthropologie last month in June, visiting the buyers, showing them some of our new collections. And, they're just really drawn to like that craft, that workmanship. It's unmatched. And I think India, I think we all know this, it's no surprise. India is, very much a powerhouse in this segment. And then also, we're very drawn to those emotional experiences and especially, supply chain transparency, especially now. I think that's always been appreciated and, and valued by Americans, but especially now. I think that it really is the time where like we're weeding out what's, if whomever is not being, transparent, honest, trustworthy, upfront, reliable is just getting, thrown to the side. And there's no buyers or designers or retailers that are really kind of putting up with kind of the shady business anymore. So, in terms of transparency, it's really key. Products with obviously, that novelty and unique characteristics, that really increases the perceived value in the customer's eye. Think elevated, think unique, think very precious. But again, as I mentioned before, always kind of just tweaking it to really match that contemporary, easy breezy silhouette, wearable, practical, and functional. Again, we value transparency. So sustainability, any natural elements, an organic product, and process. So, nowadays customers really want to see the process. What's happening behind the scenes? Are you treating your labor fairly? Are you designing, with, truly, not knocking off, not copying. And then from the other side, obviously India possesses strength of, high seasonal demand. So I feel, India has several seasons that are, completely kind of in our favor, right? So spring, you have summer, you have spring, you have resort and beach, and then holiday. So, and that really covers most of the year. I know a lot of buyers and retailers really think of India as a summer category, as a summer delivery, spring or resort, but we really are very strong also in holiday. So, obviously sequin dresses, party, blazers, dusters, holiday bags, beaded and embellished. I mean, that the whole gamut. So I really think that India, in terms of design and aesthetic, has very much the upper hand in that trans-seasonal ability to deliver. And then obviously the capabilities and craftsmanship, are, strong elements that are very much admired. So I'm just going to kind of walk through here. I know that I'm stating the obvious in terms of aesthetics that we know India is very known for, but I think right now, being an American and seeing on the retail floor, walking the aisles and really seeing what customers react to and just how much, how beautifully they're displayed, and just that perceived value, that elevation, that novelty that India offers is, again, just unmatched. And they feel like that's really our advantage here in India. So I'm going to start with recycle, repair, reuse. So obviously we're thinking like eco-conscious, very responsible consumption, utilizing of dead stock fabric, sustainable practices, and organic fabrics. We have this, this trend coming of pre-loved, and in the US we refer to it as thrifting. And I've been thrifting for many years. Buffalo Exchange, Beacon's Closet, New York, and other parts of the country in the US have a lot of that. We love kind of, just exchanging our old stuff that we don't really wear anymore in our closet for a couple bucks or some, or credit, and just picking up something else that was pre-loved, pre-used, and, wearing it. So kind of putting it together, ourselves. So that's a huge trend right now, that Americans love. And then again, the supply chain transparency, that's very much, in my point of view, very much a sustainable point of action. Outdoor dressing. So we have this, obviously we're seeing a lot of, since the pandemic, everyone's outside and they are very connected to nature, and we have this new perspective on life. And that's really coming forward in the way that, Americans dress, hiking and, fitness, and this athleisure has always been, a big trend in the States. But now we're really seeing it kind of convert into like very functional everyday use. It's very highly adaptable. Obviously, functional, again, trans-seasonal, and multi-use. I mean, she can wear this to the gym, she can wear it to a concert, she can wear it hiking, and then she can throw over a t-shirt with booties and wear it out, you know, at a bar or a friend's dinner. So, you know, things in that nature have really seen an uprise. And then obviously that demand for comfort, ease, and versatility. So, you know, that's obviously no surprise. I think we're coming obviously out of this global pandemic, or, you know, still in it, but in the States, obviously we're doing much better. You know, I was home for the past month and a half. I just got back 3 days ago, and no masks. If you're fully vaccinated, you don't have to wear masks. People are really returning to life, which is great. I mean, that's great for, you know, exporters here in India, that you know, are looking to really kind of go back to business as usual. So obviously, again, block printing. A lot of these are very obvious. We know India is really great at these kind of techniques. And it's great across all categories, right? So like home goods and accessories and interiors, and also obviously apparel. So I highlighted a few brands that are really good at this, that are doing really well in the States. So Cleobella, Love Shack Fancy, they're really great at taking that, you know, these traditional print techniques and, you know, twisting them, turning them into very sellable, you know, fashion garments. Again, border twin prints, value and tradition, you know, again, these are the things that Americans really value. And block printing is something, although a little costly, as opposed to like your rotary or your digital. I mean, obviously it's a completely different animal. It's done by hand. There's so much love and craft and, you know, meticulous attention to detail behind it. And I think that, you know, Americans really value that. Batik Shibori Tie-Dye, again, you know, something that's not a surprise. We love this sort of, you know, all these dyeing techniques and the indigos and, you know, and really making them into something a little more unique or elevated. Again, placing them into like, you know, super contemporary, simple silhouettes are key. Surface interest, again, you know, for me, it's what drew me personally to India. And I think it's the same with a lot of Americans. You know, they see that embellishment, that beadwork, that embroidery, just those surface interest techniques. And, you know, we go crazy, you know, and not even it has to be all over. I mean, even, you know, little touches of it here, like how Anthropologie did theirs on the pocket. The jacket up here on the left is mine, and it's one of my best sellers. So just, I mean, it doesn't have to be completely covered, but it is something that obviously we very much value. And it's, again, a seasonal strength. Of course, we have our Shifley or lace, our texture, which again makes, you know, summer really strong for India. And again, I mean, the Shifley, you know, buyers go crazy over this, as I'm sure we all know. Now, but we're also seeing a lot of different ways to do Shifley. So instead of like your normal kind of smaller dot or oval shape, now we're actually seeing a lot of scallop trims and geometric Shifleys as well. Pairing it, you know, with a printing over it, excuse me, embellishing it, doing cutouts, adding that extra value addition is also a unique way to enhance the garment. Of course, again, hand looms, so like the ECAT, our fancy yarns, you know, cotton-based quality. I mean, Americans love cotton, linen, anything that's natural. You know, we love to feel like we're, you know, making the environment a better place. So, you know, when we're buying garments, of course, it's more comfortable, it's more versatile across the board. But yeah, so, you know, in terms of fabric content, cotton, and any natural fiber is definitely always preferred, especially now as we're kind of obviously seeing this uptick in sustainability and just being more conscious of how we produce. And again, all categories. And I have friends that are in the interior space and that export to some big interior home goods stores in the States. And I mean, this is people love this. I was out there a few weeks ago, and I'm in Target, I'm in Home Goods, I'm just like browsing the home section, and it's all of this stuff. It's all of hand looms. It's just very bohemian, clean, fresh, nature inspired. And I can guarantee that probably 90% of that is produced here in India. So it just reignites that reminder for us all that, especially me not being home in the States for a year and a half due to the pandemic, it kind of was a refresher for me to say, wow, like I always knew India had this, had this perceived value in the American American customer's eye, but seeing it again and being reminded of it, how it looks on the floor, and it just looks so elevated, so unique, and definitely worth the ticket price. Craft. So obviously craft is a big thing, but now we're seeing a lot of quilting, a lot of patchwork. That's a huge thing. I was watching a WGSN trend report for spring summer 22 the other night, and they said that one of the most garments searched on Google was quilted or patchwork dress. So this, again, like this kind of ode back to kind of feeling unique, thrifty, one of a kind, but also that's sustainable, maybe, patchworking different recycled goods or dead stock fabric, or cutting up old, old clothes or old saris and things like that. So I think, obviously Americans love to see that, that kind of hint of uniqueness. Anything with, obviously with texture, we're seeing more organic shapes and fluid lines, that are moving with the times of not being so kind of uptight. It really does coincide with how we're living now. Very free, very organic, fluid, and not really taking it, life too seriously. I've also, I was on the floor at Anthropology a few weeks ago in Tampa in Florida, and they just had all of this like crochet mixed with, dobbies and, maybe like a dobby ruffle sleeve. And then they had the crochet or like a hand loom, inset. So they're really mixing and matching all these weights, all these textures. And it looked really, really beautiful. And again, it's perceived value. I mean, that customer will pay $200 for a top, $150, $180. And then they wouldn't think twice. So anything that has like dimensional value, really, again, just is something that we look forward to in shopping. And of course, beach and resort. I mean, this is something that India has always done really well. And I think that this trend will really never go away, right? Like, especially now, people will always go on holidays. People will always need a break. They'll always, find a beach somewhere and need that comfortable clothing. Again, like as a reminder, I was in Martha's Vineyard visiting family, and everyone's at the beach, and they're just looking so chic and cute at the beach, even so it's like these people really, these women, and I'm targeting specifically women because that's really my strong point, and what I resonate best with as a designer. But it really just obviously makes sense seeing it in action again, getting refresh that this is a category that probably will never die. And India is great at that, especially with like our run-of-the-mill fabrics, right? So like our gauze, our poplins, voiles, cambric, challis, dobbies, those jacquards, those crochet netting, anything that's really lightweight and practical. Obviously, we want comfort and versatility. And there's this new trend that's one of my sales reps in New York is talking about. I guess a lot of her buyers are asking, pool to party. So like, things, just a simple garment, maybe like a button down top or a kimono or a two-piece set that you can wear to the pool during the day, have your mimosas, your Bloody Marys, and then head to the party right after. I mean, this is not something that's really kind of out of line with reality. I mean, it's something that we do very, very, often, especially on holidays. So, we don't really have time to go change and do the whole gamut. We just love that piece that's versatile, and we can throw it on at the pool over our bathing suit and then run to, a lounge or, a night with our friends and still feel, that we're, looking great. So of course, again, like our trims, our pom-poms, tassels, that's something that India is known for. And again, that value in the customer's eye is there. And then beach accessories. And last but not least, we have our home textiles. I was in Target and I saw this really beautiful, I was shopping for curtains for our house in Goa. And I was like, okay, I'll maybe try to get them here. And I really was so tempted to pick up this one kind of bohemian looking crochet curtain, not shower curtain. It was beautiful. It was like this beautiful crochet lace mix. And it was so unique and different. It just stood out from all the rest. And if I knew my measurements of my window, or I was buying for my place, in the States, I would have picked it up without a doubt. So like, again, these are the things that that India is great for, and they're very unique from the customer's point of view. Tapestry, cushions, and puffs are really big now. Again, all I was seeing was like those puffs. I mean, you walk into any Home Goods or any Pier 1. I think Pier 1 might have went out of business or is, but again, I mean, you walk into any home store, you're going to see some really, really beautiful stuff that are probably mostly out of India. It's just a huge trend, and we really do value that look. And then I'm going to end with, I guess, more on the tools side of entering the U.S. market. So emotion, trust, and connection. I mean, again, I really can't stress enough, being from the other side of, before I moved to India, sitting in New York, really trying to battle that time zone difference and really trying to battle for, the factory's attention, as a customer, even getting the fit right or getting, the tech pack executed correctly, everything from the first proto to the end production bulk is obviously super important to us. And what's even more so important is having a production partner, an export partner on this side, obviously, that can really deliver, not only goods that look great, fit great, feel great, that are what we asked for, and to Brenda's point, yes, Americans do, we really go through that process of really nitpicking, and we're really honing in on that perfect fit, the perfect execution, the perfect hand feel. And this is something that we really don't nickel and dime on. We really do, and even being in India, some of the buyers that we work with now that are in the States, it's the same way. We really have to, thinking on the other side, the production export side, that it really is important to execute 100%. And not only that, just really make sure that you're putting your money where your mouth is. As a production manager or as a merchandiser, that you're really building that trust with your customer, because that is a huge value to us. We can go anywhere in the world, to get production done. And so it's so important that we can trust a team in India, especially. And I'm very pro India. I really do believe that it's a beautiful market and we have a lot of potential. And from the other side, I see the value as well. So I know it's a perfect marriage. I just think from the Indian side, from the export side, we really should just make sure that all our ducks in a row. We build that trust. We deliver on time. We say what we're going to do and do what we're going to say, and everything. You know, all the boxes are ticked. So bringing me to, you know, emotion, trust, and connection. The emotion obviously drives sales, and I think that's with consumers on the retail floor, and it's also with buyers and you know, customers looking for production and looking to buy. Transparent supply chains build trust. That's obviously an obvious. And understanding enhanced collaborations are needed up and down the supply chain, especially now post-COVID. We really do need to be collaborative, solution-oriented, and think outside of the box. I'm a big solution-oriented person. If you tell me we can't do something, well, what's the next plan? How can we still make it happen? Maybe tweaking, you know, here or there, but it's got to happen either way. We had some production for Anthropology right before the second wave hit, and then it really kind of, you know, luckily our buyers were really understanding with the whole, you know, second wave of COVID, but we had issues. Our prints, you know, our prints weren't coming out right. You know, we tried rotary to keep the costs down, but it wasn't working. So we had to kind of lose a couple more dollars by going into digital. So, I mean, like, these are small things, but, you know, obviously, as Brenda said, these things come up and they come up last minute, and they really do rattle the supply chain. So, you know, this is something too that as a customer, we really do want honesty and being upfront from our production partner, so that we can build, you know, that trust factor. And we, you know, brands obviously want one production partner or a few, but the longevity is key. You know, we don't want to be hopping around every month for a new supplier, a new production partner, because that will just drive us crazy, and then nothing will ever get done. So just, again, being honest and building that trust factor is so key. I really cannot stress it enough. And then obviously having that commonality, you know, our common goals and purposes are the same, and that obviously forms sincere connections. So again, this is something that happens on the retail floor in terms of trend, in terms of what customers are being drawn to buy and purchase. It's very much like dopamine dressing, emotion-based dressing, functional fashion, versatile, and also, you know, we have that factor of like cost per wear. So can I wear this, you know, a few ways, you know, an XYZ. So this is my presentation. I am finished. I did add my website and my email here if anyone wants to reach out to me directly to discuss any of the points that I presented. I would be happy to chat.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you so much for
Thank
showing
you.
us, you know, how we can beautifully combine the traditional Indian craft and weaves to make way into the trendy and fashionable US market. Thank you so much.
You're
Really
welcome. You're
appreciate
welcome.
your
Thank
effort.
you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So we've had a very, very informative session today, and we had a few questions which I've answered already. They were more related to the certification part of it. Any other specific questions, Hemanji?
No, Tanya, I think the presentation was very insightful. So probably they don't have any questions.
Sure. So I'd like to move on to invite you know, a very special person today, just apt for today's session. Dear members, you know, they can't actually be a better person to close the webinar for today. She is the patron of apparels for BAA. Ms. Rohini Suriji is here with us today, veteran of the apparel industry for over 30 years. She's been US-centric and she's headed JC Penney. I'd like to invite Rohini ji to share her views and comments on today's webinar.
Thank you so much, Tanya. It gives me great pleasure here to speak to the wonderful group of speakers here today. as well as the participants who have taken part and taken out so much of time today. It was a really long, insightful, and very clear webinar on what the apparel industry is really about and what it is moving towards in the changes that we've had to face during the time of Corona. Uh, a small example I'll give you. In the 90s, everybody went into Friday dressing. Now, because of Corona, there is going to be a lot of work from home dressing, which requires a lot of change. But Tamanna very clearly said that there is a huge market in the loungewear department, as well as what is the top department, the ladies' top department of the shirt, because this is what is all on Zoom, on WebEx, etc. But this is aside. These are issues that will concern us, and the changes that happen in this industry. And I've been here since 1980, and the industry is only 5 years older than what I've been in this industry for. So it started somewhere in 75, and I've been here since 80. So I find that the changes have only strengthened the industry, and it has made it go forward. The changes have not detracted us from going backwards. China is not a competitor, and neither is India a competitor to China. We have a different handwriting completely. But yes, we do depend on China heavily for the raw materials that come from there in terms of, as Brinda clearly said, 70% of the apparel goes into uh, the fabrics, the trims, etc. That's where it comes from, whether it's China or India. What China has really done has gone in depth into developing of processing yarn, creating fabrics, wider width fabrics, and making sure that the runs are higher over there than in India. We are lagging far, far behind in India, even today, in this part of our industry to support the apparel industry. And in spite of the fact that we are the second largest producers of raw yarn, which is exported to China and Bangladesh and Vietnam, which has gone far ahead in processing than we have. This is where should come in, and the government needs to come in to build this part of our industry. The MSMEs are hardly supported by the quality of the input that goes into a pattern. Uh, if I was an MSME, how would I be able to start exporting from China and starting my manufacturing in India? How am I supposed to get the trims and everything? It's quite complicated for us, plus the cost factor. So why don't we look at this section of our business? At the time, Alok, the person who started Alok is my peer group. We worked together in the same company in 1980. And I know that he was a flag bearer in the industry to start up this textile unit in Gujarat. Why has nobody followed? It's a question that I'd like to ask the industry. It's a question I'd like, even as an MSME, to say, why is it not happening in my country? Linen is still with Jayashree's Textiles. That's the largest manufacturer of linen. It does not cover our requirements for exports. Why haven't we invested in the agricultural part of linen? Why haven't we built this? There are many questions like this that really concern me in the last so many years. Why haven't we done this part of it? We compare ourselves to Bangladesh, and in 20 years they've gone far ahead than us. Very simply, they have put in investment in the raw material. They are, yesterday I was reading, in the agricultural area also, they are putting in huge investments in CBD, high yielding cotton growing agriculture, which it seems that it is extremely not concentrated in India. Why are we not doing all those questions? So these are the things that has been happening since 1980s, and we have still not gone forward with it. We've only seen one company like Alok Textile come and absolutely change the market in terms of the quality of fabrics that they begin to give us and our factories. for exports out of India? Why aren't hundreds of them in our country? Why are we still looking at handloom converted factories to powerloom factories for fabrics? That does not cover our need. That does not cover our competitiveness. So we may have the design ability. We are stronger in our communication in terms of the English language, and the integrity of business has been there now since compliance has come, and the integrity also has taken place. And there is a better transparency with working with your partners in America. I've had offices of my own in LA, so I do know that, I'm talking of having offices in LA in the 80s, and we are already in 2021. I've had experience of doing landed duty paid business to JCPenney. So I know that these things can be done from India, but it is extremely traumatic to go through the steps to do this. That there is no clear indication, there is no clear path for us to take to be able to do this. We are still not able to do transshipments. So there are many concerns that if I was sitting in Hong Kong, I can tell you I would never have retired from business, because it is prolific in helping you to go forward in building your business. The system helps you to take it forward. The entrepreneur can do so much, but then the environment also has to be there for the entrepreneur. We struggle even today. I have worked with MSMEs, with the MSME sectors, and I've gone for several lectures. I've talked a lot. I've trained people at NIFT. I've designed courses, everything I've done. But the thing is, as individuals, as Tamanna as an individual, Brinda as an individual, Christine, we have done our best, but the flora is not coming up as we would want it to come up. And that is something I'd really like that Vicky should take up, and the government should be listening to this part of our industry and helping the MSMEs and the SMEs to grow forward. Now, looking clearly at what I really enjoyed all the talks with Tamanna's, socio-cultural, trade economics and things like that. But yet, there is not much change in the last 20, 30 years on what she has spoken, except for the statistics. And the statistics are changing not only because of our production capabilities, they are changing because of the demand capabilities that are there in the Western world for which we are producers today. And also our domestic market has changed its colors. And there is a huge retail market here in India today with a huge population to cater for, which I think the MSMEs and SMEs are pretty much aware of these changes in the market, and they will be taking it forward. I really enjoyed Brinda's talk, and one of the things that really struck me is that first recall. I always said that when I was sitting in office, the fellow who's always in front of me gets the business. He's always bringing something to me, gets the business. If someone just comes and says, "Oh, I want the business," well, I'm an agent. I'll never marry anybody. All right. Let me be very clear. I want the business for the country that I am exporting to. So the first recall is really, really good. And it was exciting to hear Megan's talk on letting us know that America's alive and booming, and we don't have to wear our masks if you're vaccinated. So that means everything is open, the malls are open, everything is there for us to, go. So she's come in with fresh information for the MSME sectors and the people listening to us today. Lastly, the people who are listening to us today is the question that they are asking themselves is, what is my takeaway today? Okay, I think that one of the biggest takeaways that you've had today is to hear not only a historical perspective, is also the current perspective of the energy that is there in the business and how it is going to go forward. Nothing is going to stop because of Corona. Life goes on, and the business will also go on. We've been through many ups and downs and khaddas and this and that and whatnot, but we've survived, not because we've survived, because we want to survive. We want our country to go forward. We want us to go forward. In the 90s, change in the economics in India really helped the apparel industry to to reach a great height in the business today. So the takeaway that I would like to give from BA today is and Brinda and Tamanna and Megan have also mentioned this, but as BA it said, please kindly get in touch with us at BAA for any mentoring you may individually like, as we are keenly involved in incubation of our factories so that they can be of benefit to the nation and we can go forward with the correct way of functioning as we would like them to do so that they are ready for their markets. And we'd be happy to help them on their shop floor if they would kindly get in touch with Tanya Bhatia and our office over there, the whole team, in fact, the speakers itself today, individually, but we have a team here who is in knowledge and in apparel, and we would like to help you out and not only help you, handhold you through a period of time to make sure that you're able to, if we see the potential. So we'd like to have meetings with you and see if we can see potential there to put you into incubation with us, with our experiences and our current experiences going forward. So thank you so much, Jai Hind from me, and thank you all the speakers. I really, really enjoyed myself today. Seemed like a refresher course.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much, Rohit, for joining us this evening. As we move forward, last but not the least, I would like to invite the man behind this knowledge sharing webinar, Mr. Hemant Seth, Treasurer, FICCI, CMSME, to conclude the session for today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. It was a very insightful session. So FICCI CMSME is committed towards the development of MSMEs, and we work closely with all the stakeholders to organize capacity building programs which help MSMEs to grow their businesses in a sustained manner and compete with other SMEs of the world. So FICCI CMSME firmly believes that MSMEs are backbone of any country's economy and are instrumental in bringing inclusive growth. The government's vision of increasing the MSME's share in exports from 50% to 75% will only be possible if we can provide the right ecosystem and address the information gap. So we request all the stakeholders and MSMEs to come forward and support us to make this happen and actively participate in our programs and join us as member of FICCI CMSME. I take this opportunity to thank BA for joining hands with FICCI CMSME in this initiative. Mr. Vishal Dingra, Ms. Christine Rai, Ms. Rohini Suri, and entire team, Ms. Aanchal, Tanya, Avi, thank you all for your support. I'm sure BA and FICCI CMSME will continue to work together for development of global market for MSMEs, and we will surely organize more programs targeting other markets and products. I would like to thank Mr. Girish Luthra, Senior Vice President FICCI CMSME, for sparing his time and joining us today. It is the Presidium of FICCI CMSME who inspire us to think and organize various initiatives, especially for our MSMEs. A special mention to all the esteemed speakers for their valuable time and inputs. Dr. Tamanna Vedi has always been a guiding force to FICCI CMSME, and her knowledge of the global market has inspired many to explore international markets. Thank you, Dr. Tamanna, for sharing your expert knowledge with us today. I'm equally thankful to Ms. Brinda Dutt, Team Leader Triberg, and Ms. Megan Olari, Designer and Founder Olari, for their insightful session, which I'm sure have provided a lot of information to our participants on the US market for the apparel industry. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all of you present here for sparing your time and being here with us throughout. Please do let us know your feedback on the session. And if you would like us to conduct sessions or to any specific subject or topic, please do write to us. I would also like to thank my colleague, Mr. Sumitra Nandan Srivastava and Ms. Medhavi Gupta and our IT team for the tireless effort that they have made in making this session happen. So thank you all once again. Stay safe. Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Hemantji, once again for giving BA this platform. It's really a pleasure for us, to be able to handhold the MSME members, CMSME members, and guiding them through. And yes, like we said, it would really be insightful for us if we could get some valuable feedback from the members who attended today, and if they would come back with, more information on what they would like to hear next time, or which direction they would like to go in, and so we can build on the next webinar from here. Thank you so much once again. Thank you everyone for your time and patience today, your cooperation. Have a wonderful weekend, and goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Tanya.
you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Right.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for your efforts, for the wonderful presentations and the coordination that went behind it. It's actually almost more than 5 organizations working together just to make this possible, and to share this knowledge that we all have. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.